Today, Myron Blackbird Cycles. Today we're replacing some 18-inch ape hangers that got bent. We're going to try to go through all this. This is internal wired, so we're going to pull the wires out, show you how we get the wires back in, the other bars, and we're going to try to get to all that today and get it on video. So you guys don't forget to like and subscribe, and we're going to get started. First, we're going to leave the clutch cable in because we're just going to take that perch off and lay it down beside us here. And that'll just save us some time from dealing with the spring on the snap ring on the clutch lever. Well, somebody's got those tight. And this is on my table. These 18-inch apes are gonna be fun to reach. And the bad thing about changing bars is I think somebody's glued this. Normally these type housings will have a lock in them. If you got the right grips, then you don't have to glue them, but this seems to me like it is locked. So that's gonna be fun, and quite possibly sometimes we just can't get them off without destroying them. So I usually have to call the owner of the motorcycle and tell them that they're gonna have to spring for some new grips. So we got the clutch lever removed. Now we're gonna start on these boxes. Okay, so we've got all that removed down to the wiring going through the handlebars. The next step, we're probably going to be laying these handlebars forward, or maybe this way, just so we can get better pull on these, because we're going to have to feed the wire back through the risers. So we're going to loosen up these bars. We're not taking the triple tree off, we're just going to loosen it and tilt them a little bit, because I have to get to the wiring on the underneath side of this to push on the wires to pull them through the bars. We're going to lower these down enough to be able to work with them, but we don't want to lower them too much. These straps will just slide off, and then we got a bike in the floor. So be careful if you got them strapped over the handlebars. We'll probably move those straps in a minute. Okay, so you can see we got the wire pulled a little bit. I wanted to get it out and get it started rather than have you sit and watch me fight it for 10 minutes. But we're gonna pan out. I'll show you where the wires come through the bars at and how we've got to push that to pull this. You can't just tug on this. If you tug on this, you're gonna tear the covering that's on the wires, maybe bare a wire, and then you're gonna run into more problems. So if you look over here, you see I've got the bars tilted. There's a hole on the bottom of the bars that the wires come through and go down through the triple trees. So what we're about to do is we're gonna push on one wire while we pull on the other at the same time. And what you see is, this is a pretty good size covering, and it'll get hung on the edge of that bar. By working it from both ends, you can move it. You try to just pull on this thing, it's not gonna happen. So, what we're doing is feeding it through a little bit, pulling on it a little bit, until we can't get it. Once that's happened, then we can pretty much just pull it out. So now we got the buckets and the wiring set for the next set of bars. And I'm about to get set up to do the other side. Let you guys see how to take throttle side apart. So we'll be right back. So just like we did the clutch side, we're going to do this brake perch as well. Boy, that's tight. If one side gives you a little bit of problem, instead of taking a chance on stripping that Torx head out, try the other side first. Once you get it a little bit loose, then the other side should break easy. Now, this master cylinder can fall off. There's a small lock right here that has to lock into this. Also, this lever pushes against your brake switch light, which is on the inside of this bucket. I'll show you that in a minute when we pull the bucket. When you're putting this back on, you have to make sure this locks into the tab on the bucket. But you also have to hold this lever back. If you don't hold this lever back, you're going to pinch this button and possibly break that brake light button. And this is not going to operate your brake light without replacing that button, which is a real pain in the butt. So keep that in mind while you're taking all this apart. Yep, wrong side. There we go. Well, that one's gonna give us a problem, isn't it? That one's we're gonna have to get a socket for that one. Be able to put some pressure on it. Go ahead and pull this top. Somebody before has stripped that. And of course now, guess who gets to deal with it? So we'll probably put a impact on that and try to work that loose that way. Now, if you've ever tried to do this, you got to have something to pull your wiring back through. What we did is took an old throttle cable and cut it. And this is just stiff enough to push past. Now here's the thing with doing these bars, you're going to bump a weld here, so you got to get past that. Then you got to make this bend, then you got to make this bend, and then there's a weld here where this welds back onto that center tube. The problem you run into with that is if you're just running the wire through there, that wire sticks that weld every time and locks you up. And you'll fight this thing for 2 hours. A lot of guys blow a string through, but I find strings, depending on what you're using, they always seem to want to break or cut. So what we use is a throttle cable with the ball end on it like that. And when I hit that weld, hold that up so you can see that spin. When I hit that weld, I can just twist this throttle and that will spin. And it'll jump over that weld and come right through. I mean, it took all of about 5 seconds to run that through. Did it go through?
Oh yeah, worth it.
That's a miracle in itself.
Well, that went right through. I did not expect that. Not that easy.
Okay, you want to grab me one of the smalls just so I can get something in this bucket to hold it.
This is a small screw?
Yeah.
What's the right one? I got the wrong one.
Nope.
That's the wrong one.
Smaller one. The other screw. Go ahead and get it started.
Wish it all went this easy.
No kidding. I'm telling you folks, don't let this job fool you here. This actually went very smoothly considering, because
It's been a 4-hour deal.
usually 4 or 5 hours on these. Harley wants to hit you for 6. Or maybe more. I don't know. Harley's up to $1,200–$1,500 to put a set of handlebars on.
Yeah, it's $1,500 for me to put mine on.
So Harley's now charging $1,500 to put a set of handlebars on. And we do it here at Iron Blackbird for about $500. And if I run into one that's as easy to do as this, I tend to charge a guy a little less. We're not all about killing people here. We live in Southern Illinois, and trust me, the economy here is horrible. Guys can't, try to be able to work on their bikes anymore, these guys with older bikes. Harley won't even touch them. If it's 2015 or less, Harley will just look at you like you're stupid. They won't even order you parts hardly anymore. You might get them to order an aftermarket part, but not usually. So, you got that grip handy?
Mm-hmm. 20 bucks. 20 bucks.
20 bucks is 20 bucks.
That's right.
Oh, man, that grip fits tight. That's good that you don't have to mess with it like that. I'm gonna ratchet.
It's up there. Right side.
Oh, there it is. Let's move these bars up and adjust those.
What do you want? You want to level with the
I think he had them a little forward. I think that's good right there.
free cable?
Yeah. Finally, one we didn't even have to change the cables on. That's
Very nice.
usually guys are going from like 8s or 10s or 12s up to 18s, and we gotta change every cable on. You can go on these Heritages, you can probably go to 12s with the stock wiring a lot of times, and stock cables. got to do a little bit of mod on the brake line. A little bend here or there on the brake line that comes out, but unless you got a brake line like that, if you got the steel one, you just got to do a couple little extra bends and it'll work. But there we go. Let's adjust these out and tighten them up, and I can move on to finishing up the wiring. That feels about right to me. Right there, don't you think? I don't like them up. I don't want to have to reach up to put my hand over the lever. If you're in a panic, you need to be able to get your hand over that lever easily. Or smaller. Set it down over there.
Set it right there.
There it is. Might as well take both these over the other side so we can adjust it. Here.
Yeah.
You can bring it up here closer if you want. Stand back and tell me when this lever looks level with that one. You gotta stand back there.
I'm seeing where this is at. Up. You can close a little more. Right there. Looks about right.
Okay. We can do the final adjustment when it's on the ground too, so.
That'd be the best time anyway.
Yeah. Nothing like working on 18-inch ape hangers on the table. Okay. So there we go. In a minute, I'll drop the camera down here and we'll pin in these bars. So what we're doing right now is we're repinning this. I keep these rubbers on so I can keep all these wires in the same order. The only thing you have to watch for is make sure that the clip is in the right orientation while you're reinserting these pins. When you push those back in, they should just pop right back in. Okay, so what we're doing now is these wires are color coded almost always the same as these wires here on the plug that this goes back into. So what we're doing is we're repinning this plug because we've already run the wiring through and it's ready to go. There's two things you got to remember: the orientation of this as to how it plugs in here. So you'll make sure the orientation's right. Make sure your color code on your wires is right. And then you can start pushing these pins back in. And I would recommend that you take pictures of the wiring on the plug before you pull it all apart. That way you know for sure. You can double reference this between your between your pictures and what the other color codes on these are. Because sometimes they add an extra wire into these that's going somewhere else and doing something else, and it's going to confuse you when you go to repin these. That's why I go ahead and do pictures and the both. So these rubber seals, I push them back because you want all these pins to go in and make sure they go all the way in and snap. There'll be a lock in there that snaps. Now once you get these in like that, this orange piece goes in here, and what it does is it locks those against those, locks those little plastic clips in there against those pins where they can't come loose. Basically holds those pins in. Then you got this rubber seal you need to push back in. You work it a little bit, it'll go all the way in. And once you got that plugged in, can you see that in the shop?
Yeah.
You just plug it back in, and you'll find some clips up here for your wiring, original wiring, and the handlebars are done. This is all tank wiring up here, so we're getting ready to start putting sheet metal on this today. But that's how you get a set of handlebars done. Rewired and all buttoned up. This is Dave with Iron Blackbird Cycles. Don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody. Hit the notification bell, and if you got any ideas you want to see, anything you want to see, send us a message and let us know, and maybe we'll get it on.